welcome to the Trap House, the Everyday Entrepreneur Vlog. No BS, no filters. It's Allison Renee, and I am pleased and so excited to be here with Kris D. Williams.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. She is a busy woman. She just got back in town, and she is a serial entrepreneur. Her main thing that you may know her for is Fame Enterprises, and we're here celebrating Women's History Month. So let's talk about being a woman in business. What does that mean to you?
Being a woman in business, well, it just means to me, to be completely honest with you, I don't see myself as a woman in business. I see myself as a businesswoman and a person in business.
I like that.
So I'm not going to say there are no limitations, but I think that being a woman in business only positions you for success because we think differently, we move differently, and we're able to kind of add creativity and a sense of, I think, confidence that bringing to the table, we're able to finesse some conversations with men. Yeah. So I think that I don't look at myself as a woman in business per se, but I think the strength of a woman kind of brings a different element to the room.
I love that. It kind of empowers you.
Yes.
Because you have a different kind of strength. It's like the man can talk about what he wants to do, but then we actually have the details to the plan.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
No offense.
No offense, but I think that women, think very logically and in order and are able to execute in a certain way. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So thinking about the logically and in order, what made you execute this journey into entrepreneurship that now you have Fame Enterprises with the 4 entities under it, and how did that logic come to you and your plan of action basically get done?
I don't think that it was logic. I think that it was intuition. When I first started the company, I had no idea that it would be, roll up into all of these different brands. But at the end of the day, we're all creators, right? So I just kind of went with my gut on a lot of things in my experience. And I also listened to what people needed in the market and kind of responded to that as well. So I think over time, I was able to see what people needed and give them an answer to or solve a problem.
Exactly. I'm speechless because that's something I preach to my kids. I mean, not my kids, my students who I teach entrepreneurship to, is that your business is non-existent unless you have a problem to solve.
Yeah.
You have to solve a problem and then the money will come.
Absolutely.
And so, what all problems are you solving? Because you're solving a lot of problems.
Yeah, so it started, when I first started my business, it was in college. I went to Howard University, and I was always very interested in fashion and beauty. And so I started a company called Couture by Kristen. At the time, it was a jewelry company, and I made the jewelry, and I did all these things, but I've always been interested in business, but didn't quite know what, where I wanted to go. So I said, my passion is fashion. I'll just do this and see behind the scenes what happens. And so through that, I saw all of these different things that an entrepreneur would need, from marketing to branding, to account management, to project management, to videos and all this media production. And so I started to hire different people. Once I graduated and kind of was doing it, a side hustle, if you will. And after some different situations happened where I didn't get the quality of the product that I really needed or the service, I did it myself. And I came up with all these different marketing campaigns and these brand, I created my brand basically from scratch. And so taught myself how to develop websites and taught myself how to produce videos and all these just different visual, imagery. And eventually, other people started to ask me to do it for them. And so that kind of started Fame Integrated Marketing because, I said, what if I can put everything in one house, that I didn't have to go to 5,000 vendors to get one cohesive brand. And so it started with me, then with friends, and then I started doing launch events in addition, which is really my passion, is events. And
Mine too.
really, yeah. So all that put together over time, it just made sense to launch an agency over a certain amount of time, and then the agency started to publish Made magazine and started to have events, and that's when the different arms came into play. But first, it started with a marketing agency.
I love that. I think it's amazing. I like to say with forward planning, I'm your one-stop shop for all of your planning needs. So like you're your one-stop shop for all of your marketing needs.
Absolutely, well, it's branding and marketing,
Branding and
communications.
marketing. Awesome.
Yeah. So what I love to do is take an idea and bring it to life, and so that is the kind of problem that I solve, because so many people have ideas, but executing ideas is a different story in a certain way. That I'm very specific and I'm a perfectionist, so I think that those traits kind of allow me to position myself and other people's brands for success. So
That's just, I love it. I love it. I think that it's important, especially in 2017. Branding is everything. It is so important, and it needs to take place. So when we are talking about being this woman, well, what did you say? This businesswoman. I like that. This businesswoman in 2017, what advice do you have for other businesswomen who are, one, may just be starting off, or two, currently in business? And we have our highs and our lows, and she may be having a low right now. What would be some advice you would give her?
oh, there's so much advice. Oh my goodness. So I think when I look back on things and how I started off, I think a lot of people in generally just jump out into entrepreneurship because it's very sexy right now, and it's cool, and it looks good on Instagram. It's like, I don't have to clock in, I'm doing this. But to be honest, if you're on Instagram saying that, you're not doing anything. Because I struggle with this so much, because I want to be popping on Instagram too, but it's like I don't have time.
Oh my goodness.
I don't, because I'm so busy.
Social media. I hate social media.
But it's so necessary, especially if you're in this industry. And for me, it's like you kind of have to. It is a part of it. But the advice that I would give is to really create a strategy and a plan, a business plan. Of course, you need that regardless. So that's just that. But a strategy of how am I going to achieve the end goal? What is identifying what that end goal is, and then backing into the steps that it will take to get there. So I think for me, I just, like I said, I started and I was like, oh, I could do this too. And no, you can't just start something. So, after some hard mistakes with, spending money in places that I shouldn't have, like getting a business downtown in the middle, across the street from Macy's, my first year.
Those extra bills.
Why? But if I had a growth strategy of how am I going to achieve these goals, I would have known that right in the beginning I needed to work from home.
Exactly. And
maybe write that off. And, it's just different things. So I think strategy, planning, and making sure it's thorough, and there's a short-term goal and a long-term goal, and you're always constantly thinking about that. You mentioned at a low point.
Yeah, so being totally honest, last week I had a low week. I had a productive week, but for some reason by the end that entrepreneurial depression had kicked in. And I couldn't explain why it was that way, and I was just like, I'm just sad, and people like, well, why are you sad? Your Facebook is popping, you got 500 likes, you got this, you got that, but that doesn't define anything. And that was timed. It was posted because it needed to be posted, but that has nothing to do with how I'm feeling right now. So dealing with the lows of entrepreneurship, how do you get out of those moments when you're feeling that way? And do you sometimes feel that way?
Of course. Everyone does. I think for me, what I did, and a lot of entrepreneurs may do, is isolate myself, because it's a big issue, because you feel like no one understands, unless you're an entrepreneur, unless you see my bank account and you're like, whoa, what is, unless you really feel it, you don't know. So the first thing I would do is surround yourself by other entrepreneurs, and I think, places like Blue 1647, 1871, all these things. I did not do that, and I instead kind of sulked in my own depression until I was able to find a team that supported my goals and was really just ride or die. And when I started my studio, I had people that I was surrounded with, that we quoted Bible scriptures, and we were motivating each other. And so that energy, I think, is extremely helpful, especially when you're at those low places, to have people that you can just count on to be there and listen. And having, of course, the affirmations and, listening to your podcast. And I'm a strong Christian, and without God, it definitely wouldn't have happened. So, I'm an extreme YouTuber. I love TD Jakes, like searching, searching sermons for business people, and,
Oh, that's a good one.
That kept me. It kept me.
That's awesome. I think that's great advice, and I totally agree that we isolate ourselves, and we can't isolate ourselves. We need to depend on people. But what I think you said is key is your team. Like, you have to build that team that's with you no matter what. My issue is I have a team, I just don't know how to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm sad today. You know, so that's something I'm working with internally, being able to pick up that phone. But I think that we often, in women, the Black community in general, we don't like to talk about the anxiety and depression that comes with entrepreneurship.
Right.
We just like the hashtag entrepreneur life.
Right. Right. And it's also, it is in your mind state, like your state of mind. It's how you think about things. And a lot of times in entrepreneurship, you question what you're doing, and think there's no way how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. But it's really like, cut it out, only positivity, only good things. And if anyone around you are saying anything negative that may impact you, you have to remove yourself from that situation.
Exactly.
And I think it's all about how you think about things. And I let myself have a pity party for like an hour.
Right.
And after that, we got to keep moving.
Exactly.
Because it's nothing, doing that is not going to change. It's nothing's going to change. So
that's solutions based. We need to move forward.
Solutions based. And then when you get at that low point too, that's the best time. I mean, it really is the best time to come up with solutions, ideas, because now it's like you have to be resourceful because you don't have all the options. You don't have all of the opportunities around you. So it's like creating those opportunities. And that's a lot of my success stories completely come from creating opportunities out of depression.
Oh,
completely.
I like it.
I mean, one of my clients
that sounds like
today.
A blog post.
Yes, I mean, maybe true, girl. Listen, it's happened so many times, and it's like I know that God has like done specific things in my life to put me in those places
and
so
make
that
you figure
to
that
push
out.
me. Yeah.
I'm just a little bit lost for words. I think I needed to hear that more than anything.
Really?
So,
good. I'm glad,
you.
girl. It's real. It really is.
Thank you. How do you finesse being a serial entrepreneur? Are you a full-time entrepreneur?
Yes. There's no way I could do this with another job.
So that's amazing, right? And how old are you?
30.
She's 30 and a full-time entrepreneur. And she just got engaged. Let's say congrats to Kris.
Thank you.
So I think that it's amazing that you're a full-time entrepreneur at the age of 30. How long have you been an entrepreneur?
This is my 7th year.
7th year, because you started in college.
Well, that I wasn't full-time. This is my 7th year full-time.
Oh, my goodness. You've been a full-time entrepreneur since you were 23?
Yes, I quit early.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you.
I did not know that.
And most
so
people
away.
don't because I look young, I mean, I guess for my age. But really, it's not. This isn't something that's been an overnight thing. This really has been 7 years that I've created these different companies. So it's like, for anyone who's starting a business out there, it's going to take long. It's not going to be something that, just pops off in a year, 2 years. I didn't get a profit until my 5th year.
Wow.
Which is only 2 years ago.
I'm in my third year, and I'm just now actually seeing a profit. So it's a lot of work.
It is.
And when you're building these entities, let's give them a quick overview of your entities. So we have Fame Enterprises, that's the umbrella.
Right.
And then what's under it?
And then you have Fame Events.
Okay.
So we produce events in the city and nationally. Then you have Fame IMC.
I just saw you had an event with BMW.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah. So then we have Fame IMC, the agency that I was talking about earlier. Made Magazine, which is our media publication for entrepreneurs of color. And then we have Fame Studios, which is our production studio based in Pilsen. So we are able to create all the content out of the studio and push it out through Made and market not only ourselves but for other people through Fame IMC. And then the events executes and powers, you know, all of the events that come out of those entities. So it definitely, they make sense under each other. It's not just a random thing, but I just found a need that came from one entity and kind of expanded from there.